What is up, and welcome into the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I'm your host, Ezra McCann, and I'm joined, as always, by my outstanding co-hosts. He's a Chicago Public League legend. He's a Simeon legend. He's a Grambling State legend. He played second base for the Tigers back in the day. He was all SWAC. It's Brandon Williams, a.k.a. Coach Smoke, and starting up day one tomorrow for the official start of the high school baseball season. Of course, he's the head coach at Simeon.
Heavy as the head that wears the crown.
And we've got the go ahead.
Oh no, I
Okay. All right. And we've got the NFL draft analyst for NBC Sports Chicago. Caught you on football night in Chicago on Friday.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Catch him on the Under Center podcast. Stop that, Glynn. Stop that. Glynn always, man, just puts too much pressure on himself going on those shows. You do great, man.
Yeah.
He is our GM. He's Glynn Morgan. Gentlemen, how you guys doing? It's been a while, man. We haven't talked since before the Super Bowl. So yeah.
It's all this Justin Field Caleb stuff, man. Everything is out of whack.
Yeah.
Well, we are officially the number one story in the sports world now. Everywhere you turn is Justin this, Caleb that, Justin this. So yeah, I'm in listening to your assessments, Glynn, you think it's a done deal.
Man, yeah, dude.
Justin's not coming back.
Everything seems to be pointing that way, and different people I've spoken with, and the people that they've spoken with, it's leaning towards that. That being said, there's still a small part of me, man, that's thinking that if the right offer comes through from a team, that they, being the Bears, would abdicate and change their mind and go on, move away from Caleb and stick with Justin and build the team. I find it very difficult in my mind when you start putting the numbers together in terms of the amount of draft capital you can have, the amount of fiscal fluidity you can have, and the options presented to you by trading down, as opposed to taking a player and having some resources. And obviously with the extra $30 million that the NFL received for the cap being expanded, that gives you more options to get free agent talent. Now the Bears are around between $83 million, I believe they have somewhere up there. So I get all that, but if you trade down, you almost multiply that. You almost double the opportunities you have. So I'm holding out hope. Washington, if you're listening, Atlanta, if you really, really want a quarterback, that these guys will trade up and make a difference. But if it doesn't happen, and I think the time is short, it needs to happen sooner than later, because the other issue you have, if you do take Caleb, if you do retain the first pick overall, you're going to have to trade Justin. You're not going to be able to have both of those guys on staff at the same time and think that you're not going to create a lot more problems with the locker room, so on and so forth. So trading Justin is imperative if you're going to go on from Caleb. And here's the other problem, and we talked about a little bit on the football night in Chicago thing segment, that keep in mind the two teams that Justin seemed to be targeted for most of this offseason has been Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Well, Atlanta's general manager is still there. It's the same general manager that passed on him when they took Kyle Pitts. And the head coach at the time was Arthur Smith, who is now the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he was also part of passing on Justin as well. Those guys may not be enamored with Justin. They may have had their reasons why they passed on him, and they may feel that not much has really changed since then. So if that's the case, I really don't know who else is going to be pining for Justin, and your trade options become that much more limited. So I don't know. And if that's the case, here's the thing, for those people who are Justin fans, if the market for Justin is really dry, you're not going to get anything for him, it might make more sense to keep Justin, because you're going to get a whole bunch of Caleb. That market's not going to drop at all. Your opportunities and options there are only going to increase as the draft grows closer.
Let me ask this. If, let's say, you've decided Caleb Williams is your pick, so he's going to be the pick.
Mhm.
Do you keep Justin knowing that you're going to trade him maybe during training camp? You know, if it goes that far, maybe a team, you know, injuries happen and you know a team is going to need a starting quarterback. Do you keep him telling him, "Hey, we're going to trade you," so and people know that?
You gotta trade him. You
I,
gotta trade him before it gets to that.
yeah.
Can't keep him. You can't. You do that.
But what if
And
here's my problem is, or
If
not
there's
my
no
problem, it's
market
not my
for
problem. It's the no market. If there's no market right now,
right,
right?
what you're waiting for is an injury. Is what you're sounding like. What you're waiting for to me.
And I'm saying, you know, teams want to give you, let's say that it starts off a fifth, fourth round pick, right? I want to get a little more for Justin Fields if that's the decision.
I don't think
I
you.
would think you wait you know what I'm saying, just
but
because if you know emergencies happen, you know, injuries happen, you may be able to tick that up to a two, you know.
but but I ask you this: what if that don't happen? And what if
It's
and what if
everything's a risk.
and what if Justin is out playing Caleb in camp?
That well, I know that would happen.
Well,
You know I know that, but
with Justin's love in that locker room,
that's true.
you're setting that kid up for failure. Like you got to get rid of him if you're gonna make that pick.
You are creating a Mount Vesuvius situation
Yep.
to where all of Pompeii is going to be destroyed
Mhm.
because you're deciding to do something that you just don't have to do. I get the if you can't trade argumentatively, if you're not able to get something for Justin within the next 10 to 14 days, and it's looking like the market for him is going to be kind of dry, and you have to wait until the draft happens, and even then you're still not getting the takes you want. Now, basically, if you're keeping him, you're hoping that someone gets injured enough and so that they come to you. However, in the meantime, while you're waiting for that, you're getting nothing but all this attention on the first pick in the draft. Look, even if Caleb was a first round pick, say he was a 25th
Yeah.
pick, you would still be catching hell. The first pick overall in the draft, there's no way in hell that Justin or anybody with any sense realizes that Justin's gone. And so you have a divisiveness that's just organically manifested by your own inability to get rid of a player that is talented enough, but for whatever reason or reasons, teams, because they know that you're in a pinch, they can wait you out. They don't need to have to give you anything, you know. And then on that, but the draft has happened, free agency has happened, so you don't know what other. I mean, Russell Wilson's out there. Russell Wilson, he can not play and collect his money, but if he does decide to play, he's going to be playing basically free to some extent. But he may be on a mind where I still want to get into Hall of Fame. He may be legacy oriented, and so. And to improve his situation, he may go to a team where he has a Pittsburgh chance or somebody else where he has a chance to maybe make the playoffs, you know, and so that takes another spot away from Justin. You have all these other quarterbacks where JJ McCarthy type guys are shooting up the draft boards to where he may be a first round pick. Bo Nix may be a first round pick. And then there's those teams that are more astute that said, you know what, we're good. We're not as desperate, but Michael Penix has fallen to the second round. Jordan Travis is coming off an injury, so his draft stock isn't as high as it could have been. Spencer Rattler didn't look so bad. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So now guys are, it's like, who's going to take Justin? Who's going to give you something for Justin? Because the other problem with Justin, don't forget, he's in his fourth year. So he's technically in his last year of his rookie contract. So this team that's making a move to get him has to give up capital and decide that if they're doing that, the reason they're doing that is because they want to go and continue with him further, which means that they're going to have to give him his fifth year option, which means that financially they're going to be looking to pay him 45 plus $1 million going forward. So it's not just a matter of, does a team need a quarterback? It's a team. It's a matter of does this team want this quarterback because of what it may mean for the organization, not just this year, but going forward. Because again, technically, Justin is in his last year of his contract. So when the 2024 season is done, if no one picks up his option, he's a free agent, and that could happen too. But do I want to give up capital for a guy for a 1 year rental? It gets more and more layered complexity wise. So it behooves the Bears to make a move before teams have to overthink it, start thinking too much about it. And if they get Justin now, they can make certain plans going forward. But if they don't have to take Justin now, if they can wait it out and see what the situation is, they may realize we don't have to give anything. We don't need to. And thank you, but no thank you. And now the Bears are stuck with them. And now you do have a problem.
Mm-hmm. And realistically, all that GM just said sounds just like the Bears. Sounds like the exact situation we're gonna find ourselves in. It's just like those type of things happen to us.
Well, traditionally, we do find ways to snatch victory from the jaws. We find a way to find defeat from the jaws of victory, or whatever how it is. We make it the opposite of what it should be. That being said, that's another reason why there's still a part of me is like, you have everything that we're saying and talking about. I'm sure they have to have gone through. Poles is pretty pragmatic. He pretty much goes through all these different scenarios, all these what if scenarios, right? At some point, I would believe you have to realize your ability to get more is by trading a first pick.
Yep.
And the first pick, and I say I'm talking about Caleb, his value is not going to diminish unless he just does something stupid off the field. It's just not going to diminish. It just isn't. He's going to be the first pick in the draft. Okay, ostensibly, he is going to be the first pick of the draft. So if Washington, and there's a real good reason and need for Washington to want him, as long as the Bears aren't trying to extort them, you can get something done. Because it's just one move up. You're going from 2 to 1. But you can are you going to get 3 first ones from Washington? Probably not, but you should be able to get 2 first ones and maybe a third rounder for next year, and probably not necessarily the Bears number 2 pick or second round pick for this year, but Washington has their own second round pick. So, for example, Washington has the second pick overall, then they have the 36th pick, and then I think they have the Bears pick at 40. The one that when we got Montez Sweat, we gave them our pick. So if you're the Bears, they have a second round pick. You can exchange first round picks, get their second round pick, which is 36, which really helped the Bears.
But just get ours back.
Yeah, or ours. But let's just, for S and giggles, let's just say you get Washington's 36. Because you're trying to improve your situation too. It's not like Washington doesn't have a second pick or picking a second round. It's only 4 picks later. So it's not like it's the 55th pick. You know what I'm saying? It's right there. And then and instead of asking you for your second round next year, ask you for your first and your third. But if you if you need the Bears pick, then I'm going to ask you for your second pick next. You negotiate it, and Washington doesn't have to give you a player, because I don't know if there's any player off Washington that I necessarily want. Because then you may have to pay some of those guys too. So I'm not looking at that. So if you get 4 picks from Washington for moving up one spot, that's really good.
Like I said, man, you remember I said that in the beginning. That's the move. We already got the player. I said that. Sweat, we already got.
Right. I agree with you.
So I was saying we get our second round pick back, but you saying get their second round pick.
Yeah,
so,
let me get there. I mean, look, if it comes down to they're not gonna move off of 36, but they'll take 40, and okay.
Right.
But I'm gonna try and get what I can, because again, you're getting the first pick overall, and there's a need why they would want him too. But you still want to leave Washington with a little something so that they can feel like they're going to build something, because they don't want to be Carolina. They don't want to give everything away and then have nothing to build on. They're not going to make that mistake. They just saw that happen, and it's in the same region, so it's not like it's something happened on the left coast and not aware of it. I mean, Carolina and Washington are basically in the same region, so
Carolina stole Washington's region.
Right.
That used to be Redskin country.
Exactly. So and for the Bears, it just makes all the sense in the world, because now you get the second pick, you can get Marvin Harrison, and there's no way in the world you can't, as the Bears or as an organization, despite whatever issues Justin may have with his passing, and this is why you have Shane Waldron here to help with that. But despite what issues you have with Justin passing, and most of those are holding on to the ball and passing in the middle of the field, you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got DJ Moore on the other side, and you pick up some more picks, so you can probably draft another wide receiver in the 3rd round or maybe high in the 2nd round. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden now you look a lot better because you saw what one wide receiver did for Justin. Imagine what 2 top-tier wide receivers can do. And not only that, but you're setting yourself up to where you can have 5 picks. The way I have, and I'll be talking about it tomorrow on a football night in Chicago for a segment we're doing. But the possibility is you could conservatively have 5 picks in the first 100 for this year, which is top, that's in the first 3 rounds. And then you could potentially have, and this isn't making another trade, because now your 9th pick overall, you don't have to get the wide receiver now because you already got the wide receiver. You don't have to try to because you already got the wide receiver. And so you can take whatever you want, whether it's, another offensive lineman, whether it's an edge rusher, what have you. But now the 9th pick might become more attractive to a team that wants to move up because they want to, say, for example, Denver. Maybe Denver wants to jump ahead of the Vikings and make sure that the Raiders don't get an opportunity to move ahead and take a quarterback in the top 10. Again, someone like J.J. McCarthy is moving up the charts. You have a head coach like Sean Payton who may be like, hey, I have a more athletic person who I can envision being Drew Brees-like. I'll get him early on. I can develop him because they really do need a quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. They really need a quarterback. But for Denver, it makes a lot more sense to try and get a quarterback between their pick 12 to 9 than trying to move up from 12 to 1. There's a far less they have to give up. And if you're the Bears, and whether it's Denver, that's just an example, or it's the Raiders, or even if you trade down further, with that 9th pick now, you can trade down and acquire, a late 1st round pick still, but another 2nd round pick possibly, or another 3rd round pick, and maybe something going into next year as well. So you're building up your draft equity and capital. Gives you a lot more flexibility. As we've talked about, you can move around in this draft. You can definitely move around in next year's draft. So even if Justin, quote unquote, doesn't work out, you might have 2 or 3 1st round picks you're playing with next year. Okay. Your 1st round pick and maybe 2 other 1st round picks, or 2 1st round picks and 2 high 2nd round picks that you can play with, that you can package together and move up and be in the top 3 and possibly get someone like Shedeur Sanders. All of this is viable if you just trade down. And it's not like no one's going to come to you. We would talk about Washington, but there are other teams that can come to you as well. And the further down those teams are, the more you can ask. So I just have a hard time weighing that against not getting rid of Justin. You have Caleb, and you don't get as much, and now you're dealing with other issues. So that's just how I see it. But like you said, sometimes maybe that's too much like right.
Yeah, poses, and man, I think we talked about this before, though, man. He's in a situation you do not want to see. You trading up or trading that number 1 pick, and then Caleb Williams becomes the next guy, and you
as long as you're winning, it doesn't matter, right?
But Justin stays on the same trajectory that he is now.
But here's the thing:
it can be reversed too, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. It goes both ways.
That's the caveat, is that even if this, and granted, people are gonna look at you sideways because it's like you had 3 1st round or 2 1st round picks or whatever. But it's like you buffer that fall from being such a precipitous one to where it's just a slight fall off the curb as opposed to you fell off a cliff, and you can position yourself to still acquire a quarterback to your liking, and it's, I have a hard time. Outside of Justin being injured seriously and just significant injuries to significant number of players, I have a hard time thinking the Bears won't win 10 games. Because as bad as everything was this year,
they won 7 this year.
Right, and they should have won 10. As bad as everything was, the 3 games where they were winning, in the 4th quarter, had a better than 90% chance of winning. You win those 3 games, those are 10. You probably still lose to Green Bay, and that probably is the one that knocks you out of playoffs, but you're right there. And then, again, I asked the question. I said it before. If the Bears are 10-7, and everything's still the way it is in terms of having the first pick overall, and Justin, are we moving off of Justin when you just missed the playoffs?
No,
Because here's the problem. Was Justin so much the problem why you lost all those games?
no, not at
No.
all.
That's my point when it comes to drafting Caleb, because you're saying he was the problem. And now that kid has to come in
And be the
Well,
solution.
no,
You're intimating it. The innuendo is there.
It's not necessarily saying he's the problem. It's saying
He's not good enough.
man, maybe not even that. He may still be good, but you
Not
take
good
the
enough.
chance of missing out on the next. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, and I'm not saying that this is my thought process. I'm just saying this has to be going through Ryan Poles' head that you're missing out on the next John Elway,
and
Dan Marino,
and in that case,
Patrick Mahomes.
and in that case, Caleb Williams has to come in year one and show that he ain't missing out on those guys. We cannot regress as a team.
That's true.
No matter the decision that's made.
I agree with you. I think we've talked about this before, and you said that, and I said, well, you can't put the blame on him, but you're right. You can't regress.
Can't regress, because now if the team regress, you're gonna have a very disgruntled locker room.
Yeah,
very disgruntled locker room,
and your fan base. You're not gonna hear the end of
it.
it.
And all them Caleb supporters are going to flip.
Absolutely.
This team won 7 games last year. We can't even win 4. Like all of them are going to flip. Like, and now this kid is climbing an uphill battle, just like every quarterback that we've had. It's sad. Then Eberflus going to get fired. Then we're going to draft another, and it's the cycle, the never-ending cycle.
Well, maybe not. I think I get what you're saying, and that we've it's hard to get off that pattern because we've seen it, time and time again. I think the problem is not so much that Caleb would come in and be set up to fail, because there are things in place for him that weren't.
I don't think he's set up to fail, though.
Right, but I think he'd be set up to disappoint.
Right. My thing is he's actually coming into a better situation than Justin ever did.
Right, he did. So he won't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He won't be set up to fail, but the expectations on him are setting him up to disappoint.
Right,
which is a regression, like you said.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, he has everything outside of having a quote unquote second receiver
Center
that can possibly be there at 9, possibly not, but he will be coming into probably the best situation a Bears quarterback has came in since
Jim McMahon.
So
that wasn't a good situation.
Well, he had a decent defense, and he had Walter Payton.
Yeah. Okay.
So
right.
So it ain't. I mean, he's coming into a 7-10 team, a team that realistically have the 9th pick in the draft, not the 1. He's not coming into the worst team in football.
No.
So he's coming into a pretty good situation, and he, like you said, it's kind of being set up to where the disappointment will be there, not necessarily the failure, but with disappointment,
because of the high expectations,
it will lead to failure more possibly than not. I'm not saying it will necessarily but it will lead to it more possibly than not, because like I said, these fair weather ass fans are going to flip. First chance they get, they're gonna say, "See, I guess we're just cursed."
Right, that's what it'll be. We're just cursed.
We're just
Drake
cursed.
May. They should have took Drake May. I told you they should have took Drake May.
And that's another thing we not factoring in. If another one of these quarterbacks tend to pop and Caleb struggles, that's all we're gonna hear then.
Why would you take a quarterback that's 6'1", maybe? Why would you take a guy who's 6'4", 6'5", or the guy that's 6'3"?
It's like 3 different scenarios here. like I don't envy Ryan Poles at all right now. I think the safest that's just been me from jump. The safest bet is to do what you just said, GM, and trading a pick and getting more picks. Yes, it's going to be crucified by half the media, but who gives a shit?
So was last year.
Exactly. And then it flipped from Bryce Young to CJ Stroud. Can't
Right.
miss out on CJ Stroud again.
Right.
We didn't miss out on
That
him.
wasn't, yeah, that
You
wasn't a
know,
part of
like,
the argument.
so it's like they're going to flip to fit whatever narrative they want to control anyway. Meanwhile, this guy could potentially be building a roster
Arsenal.
that allows the Bears to be competitive, not for these little small stretches that we've seen, at least in my lifetime, but be competitive for years and years and years down the road. Like, that's what I want to see. I'm tired of trying to hit the lotto. That's what we
Thank
keep
you.
trying to do. We're trying to
Thank
hit the
you.
lottery. Like, man, what Ice Cube said and all about the Benjamins? The lotto, man, come on, man. Let it go. Let it go. Like, man, like, and that's what we continue to try to do. Hit the lotto. Like,
27,
instead of just
38,
build
15.
it's,
do, do, do,
man,
do,
look,
do.
man. Like, so I mean, it's
It's a bird in the hand beats two in a bush right now. You know what I'm saying? And look, I think I said it before. It reminds me of the Oscar Wilde quote that, in this life, there are two tragedies. One is not getting what one wants, and the other is getting it. And that is where Chicago fan base is right now. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Be careful what you ask for. Bird in hand beats two in the bush. I mean, we can come up with so many cliches and sayings. It's like, dude, buyer beware. I come up with that motherfucker too. You talk about getting Caleb, buyer beware. Because what are you exactly getting? You hear all the reports. And how many times are you going to hear a lot of negative reports about a player, unless they're just really doing something out of the box that you don't, that's not that it's so obvious that someone telling you it's just like, that kid, he's got problems. Yeah, no shit. But outside of that, you're not going to hear a whole bunch of negative things about somebody. You're really not. And even if you hear a few negative things, that doesn't mean that he's horrible. He may be the guy that you need for your team. You may hear all the positive things in the world. It doesn't mean he's going to be the best fit for your team. You won't know until you get him in the building. You won't know until you go through adversity with that young man and how he's going to respond with other grown-ass men in the locker room. You just don't know. But you do know what you have already. And you're acting like, it's not good enough, but you don't know if the other thing necessarily is better. Everyone keeps telling you that it's better.
right.
It looks like it could be better, but you're not comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing apples and pears. It's kind of the same thing, but not really the same thing. So, and here's the thing. You got a young man who's 24 who really hasn't had much of an opportunity to have anything solid behind him underneath his feet until last year. And if you're telling me you think he's all he can be when he hasn't had an opportunity to even be what he might be, you're kind of cutting your nose off to spite your face, in my opinion. It's just
Trying to hit the lotto.
Yeah, man. I don't. To me, it's not that difficult a thing. It really isn't. It's like it really isn't that difficult to me. And like you said, you want to sustain it, because here's the other thing, fellas. It's not on top of all this draft capital. The Bears are setting themselves up for an opportunity to continue, even for the next couple of drafts, getting these players in place. But if you look beyond that, when these guys' contracts start to come to an end, so you're talking 2028, 2029, when these guys are becoming unrestricted free agents, if you're unable to sign these guys, and if they are talented, you're unable to sign them, you get compensatory picks, anywhere starting from the 3rd round to the 6th round. Or you can trade these guys after year 3 when you realize, okay, we're at an impasse. I'm not going to be able to sign this person. You can trade them for something. So it gives you that kind of flexibility. On top of the fact that should you have success, which if you're getting this talent would seem to be that you have a better chance of being more successful, that means the coaches on your staff, the coaches on your coaching staff may start to leave. And if you look at that coaching staff, there are a lot of people of color. And we just hired the first African-American female position coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a whole bunch of compensatory picks on the coaching staff. And then you look at Ian Cunningham.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ian Cunningham, he's posed second. Once he becomes a GM somewhere else, because he was real close to leaving this year, that's 2 years of back-to-back compensatory picks you're getting because he's front office person. And so you have an opportunity as a Chicago Bears organization to have top 100 picks averaging 6 every 5 to 6 for the next 4 years. 5 years. You look at San Francisco last year. We talked about it last year. San Francisco had 5 picks, and then by the time the draft turned around, they had 11. And they didn't make any trades. They had all those compensatory picks because of Robert Saleh, a couple of other people in the front office. DeMeco Ryans.
Mike McDaniel.
Are they gonna get DeMeco Ryan
starting this year? No, Mike McDaniel's with the Rams.
Okay. No, it was
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's
right.
Right.
My bad. Right. Mike McDaniel. Yeah, and Mike McDaniel. So they had successive years with Saleh and McDaniels, who kicked in last year, and now DeMeco Ryans will kick in this year. So yeah, man, like I said, it's a currency, bro, that no one's really talking about. And the Bears, if Poles is thinking like I'm thinking he's thinking, he's looking at, because Kansas City did the same thing. Tyreek Hill left, right? Compensatory picks. Ryan Poles left. Kansas City got compensatory picks the last 2 years because of Ryan Poles leaving. It's the new currency, bro, and no one's talking about it because you're getting compensated. Third-round picks are nothing to sneeze at. People think like, oh, you're not getting good talent. Oh, you're getting – dude, Fred Warner was a third-round pick. And San Francisco got that from the Bears when the Bears traded up to get goofy-ass Trubisky. They gave up the 75th pick, and that turned into Fred Warner, or 74th pick, whatever it was. And that dude has been a Pro Bowl the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Arguably the best inside linebacker in the game.
And all pro. Forget a Pro Bowl.
All pro. So, I don't understand why you feel you need to get a player and think that he's going to be the guy. Because how well has that been working out for Buffalo? How well is that working out for the Ravens? I mean, it's helping you win, and you're in the conversation, and that's pretty much what you should hope for every year, that you have a chance to compete every year. You don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl. To think that you're going to be there every year is ridiculous. And in Kansas City, I understand that's a standard there now, but again, you're not looking at things in a realistic situation because Mahomes came into a great situation to begin with, and he's a cherry on top.
Exactly.
And he's one of a kind. There's a reason why he's one of a kind. That doesn't mean that there's another kind running around somewhere. It just doesn't happen like that. There's only one John Elway that we saw. You know what I'm saying? But that class, that draft class, Buffalo, they had shots at it. Okay? The Dolphins. Dan Marino. You mean to tell me you wouldn't take Dan Marino? Dan Marino was
he's the greatest of all time.
He's a mid-round pick. Yeah, mid-round pick. Showed up for one Super Bowl. Lost. Got his ass whooped. Why? Because the team he placed was a better team. 49ers were a better team. Joe Montana's a third-round pick. It's a better team. Everyone's like, oh, Joe Montana, he's a Hall of Famer. You didn't know that in 1982?
No.
That's my thing.
He was an undersized dude who had quick feet. That's what they kept telling you. Oh, Bill Walsh really liked his feet. That's why he picked him. Okay. But
those are things that I'm saying. I mean, and it might be just because of thinking of myself when it came to sports. I was always undersized, things of that nature. The things that made me different was the intangible, was things that couldn't be measured in my appearance or like things like that. And that's why it bothers me when people keep saying Mahomes. Like, dude, it's not just the talent with Mahomes. We clearly just saw that this year. It's not just the talent. It's the other things. We saw that for 20 years with Tom Brady. It's not just the talent. It's other things those type of guys bring. And to just assume because what you see in the talent of a specific quarterback to assume that he gonna be like that's just false. That's just false, man. Like to me, I see intangibles in Justin Fields that go so unnoticed because he's just been in the hell of an organization so far. Even though the organization, in my opinion, is starting to trend up, especially if Ryan Poles do what we want him to do. But like the intangibles that you see in that kid are what you want in a quarterback. It's what you want. That's a leader. Like you want that. Like and it's like the media. All what Ryan Poles have showed me, and I hope he continue to show me, is that he does not give a damn what the media says. He has not made one decision based off the media way. And that was always a big problem of mine in the past. I just felt like whatever the media said we were going to do, it seemed like we did it. I want this one. I don't think it's in the Brian Poles. It hasn't been as strong as this one has been with the media saying you can't do this, can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, man, like you're the GM, not the media. If Brian Poles feels truly that he feels Caleb Williams gives the Bears the best option going forward, hey, I will feel confidently in saying I believe that was the decision he made, not the media being an influence.
Okay, yeah, I can feel that, but I still don't feel good about the decision.
No.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But
it's him making a decision, not being swayed.
But I do feel he is strongly weighing that option of keeping Justin. Because, I mean, from jump, he told us build through the draft, right?
He did. He's always been pretty consistent with everything he said.
He told us build through the draft. And what better way?
You can't get it any better than this. You really can't. I mean, here's the thing. If you make that trade with Washington, if Washington's a team, they're not going to be Houston and have that playoff appearance. They're just not. It's just not going to happen.
I said it. The team's got to be Washington or New England. You have to. Them the two teams. You can't do Atlanta because they fuck around make the playoffs year one. You cannot do Atlanta.
Right. And
maybe Vegas.
Maybe Denver. Because of the
Denver
conference.
Just too far down, though. Denver's 12, right?
Denver's 12, but I'm talking about with the haul you'll get.
I guess you
potentially.
You gotta give us Judy in that haul because we're gonna miss out on
right. No, I agree that if it's from one, I wouldn't do it if
the Raiders, they gotta give us Adams.
if I'm
I'm for real. Because we're not gonna get no other receiver. Well, Raiders is what, 7?
It's 7, yeah.
Oh, we can get a Doomsday or Neighbors at least.
No, Raiders aren't drafting. Raiders are drafting behind. The Raiders are drafting 13.
Oh yeah, they gotta give us.
7 is Tennessee.
Oh.
Yeah, they gotta give us Devontae if we gonna make that move. He gotta be in that hall.
Well, I'm saying if I'm Denver, you don't necessarily want to trade with Chicago from 12 to 1. You want to go 12 to 9. But I agree with you. If it is 12 to 1, they have to put a player in there because they don't have enough draft capital.
You might
just go from 12 to
2
1.
in that month. That's a long way.
It is a long
way.
Or
you giving us 4 first rounders for the next.
Well, you give us 3 first rounders. Yeah, you give us 20.
Like San Fran.
Yeah. So, but I was going to say there's 2 things that should help Poles sleep better at night if he trades down. One, all the things that we've talked about with the draft capital, so on and so forth, and who he has at quarterback and whatnot. But the other thing is he's going to be supported by Kevin Warren because Kevin Warren is a big fan. He's a big Justin Fields fan.
I mean, at the end of the day, Ryan Pace wasn't fired because he didn't draft Pat Mahomes.
No, he wasn't.
So, I mean, so it's clear that ownership, that's another thing. I'm like, people in the media talking.
Ownership doesn't
Ownership.
they don't move off of them real quick.
Now that's one thing I know about ownership. They don't give a damn what the media say. Now that part, they don't care what the media say. They're gonna do whatever the hell they want to do. They not Pace. I mean, Paul. Eberflus was fired 13 times this season. He got another year of eligibility. So one thing I do know,
Payson,
Nagy
and Nagy's final year, they were supposed to be gone.
Man, so so that's one thing I know.
And Poles, unlike Pace, Poles is saving the team money. I mean, they keep collecting money. So I think he's got the full support of the team. So even if it's not popular, like you said, and the media trashes the Bears, and even if Caleb goes somewhere and does well his first year, it's like, dude.
But man, I heard something today that kind of tripped me out too, though. Mel Kiper and I forget the other guy, they were talking, and they were kind of talking against
Phil Yates.
I think that might have been Phil Yates, and they were kind of speaking on how the Bears will be. It was shocking because I'm like, man, what's the name been saying the Bears gonna take Caleb, Mel Kiper, but then he was like, you got to think about it. The Bears draft Caleb Williams. You're not getting the Doomsday Harrison or Neighbors at 9. So he's in the same position that Justin Fields is in. Meanwhile, you trade Justin, and he was actually indicating Washington trying to trade for Justin.
Mm-hmm.
He like,
trade. That's not going to happen.
I'm just saying, this was something he said. Oh, and he also mentioned if you keep Justin, you draft Marvin Harrison at 9. Who knows what you can do at 9? And I'm like, are they just today choosing to?
You're saying take him at 1, take Harrison at 1.
No. They saying trade.
Still trading down.
They trading them so you will be able to I don't.
That's the worst usage of 1.
I gotta go back and look, but they were saying Justin Stan, and pretty much I'm assuming they're saying you trading the 1. But you would trade that 1 to a position where you'll still be able to get Marvin Harrison.
Well, it can only be Washington and New England because he ain't getting past Arizona.
Right.
So,
but if you take Marvin at 1, that's the worst usage of 1. He's the best player. I think he's the best player in the draft. But you take him at 1, that's the worst. Yeah.
If you take him at 1, that means you didn't hold your hand at all in this. Mm-hmm. And Washington and New England knew you would stand with Fields.
Well, let me ask this: how much higher is Caleb Williams on the board than Drake May?
He's right above him.
I mean, in terms of man, if we don't get Caleb Williams,
hey man, you starting to have the media people saying Drake May.
I heard
these
Matt Hasselbeck. Yeah,
I heard
Tim Hasselbeck.
Tim Hasselbeck.
Tim Hasselbeck. That's who it was.
Drake May was the most gifted quarterback in this draft class.
Yeah, it's starting to come and this is where I get mad because I've been talking all this Justin over Caleb, but y'all know how I get sucked in the draft time because they're gonna start talking this Drake May stuff, and then I'm gonna be highly upset because everybody gonna be like, "Wait, I thought you was against Caleb." I'm not against Caleb Williams.
And the reason I say that isn't just because of the possibility of maybe the Bears thinking about Drake May or it's because when you're trying to get a bidding war between and like you said, it has to be Washington and New England. When you're trying to make that bidding war, does the second team say, "Well, we're fine. We don't get Caleb Williams. We're just gonna sit back. We'll at least get Drake May, and we'll be fine."
Well, I think if the Washington can't make a deal with Chicago, I think they take Jaden Daniels. I don't think they take Drake May. Because if you're looking at the two more explosive dynamic. No. I'm saying if the Bears take Caleb and Washington doesn't make the trade, I see Washington
not go. They're going. I got you.
Yeah, they're not taking. I don't see them targeting Drake May. Because keep in mind who the offensive coordinator is.
He doesn't fit that style of play.
No, he's going to need someone like Daniels or Caleb.
That's one thing that I thought I in my mind, but Bill is no longer in New England. I felt the Bears should put out there that they are really high on Drake May to try to make the move with New England. But now that Mayo's there, I don't know.
The culture's still there. And Mayo's still part of that culture. And he was drafted and played there, and
Yeah,
he's
but
coached there.
he's still his own man though.
No, I'm not saying he's not, but I'm saying it's not just when I say culture, I'm not saying that he's just inundated, he's just a cult member. What I'm saying is a lot of that infrastructure and how they've been successful hasn't really changed, even though the head coach has left. For them to be, and not only that, but they're in a better situation to try and win sooner than Washington is because they have a really good defense. They have a solid defense, and they have some decent players on offense. They don't have explosive players on offense. But you get someone like Drake May, then you make the argument of building around this guy because he does provide you something that the other two knuckleheads didn't, and it's a more athleticism, probably better passer than Mac, and a better athlete than Mac, and probably a bigger, more dynamic player than Billy Zappi. And so you can compete, and you have a body type that can compete in the rugged AFC East, someone who has enough arm strength to kind of throw the passes in New England. You see what I'm saying? He fits that mold of the quarterbacks today. Bledsoe, Brady, he fits that type of mold that New England has had success with for the last 30 plus years.
Well, that's not good for Chicago then.
How's that not good for Chicago?
Because Washington can say, well, yeah, you guys go ahead, take Caleb. We're going to take Daniels. And then New England's going to say, well, we're going to take our guy.
It's only if you're stuck on getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Dude, there are other teams that want the first pick of the draft.
Right. See, that's the thing.
The Giants might trade up. You never
That's
know.
the thing. You do have multiple teams that which will draw Washington or New England to have to try to move that pick.
You think the Giants would want to go after Caleb Williams with the contract situation they have with what's his name?
Yeah, because they can get out of it in 2 years. They can get out of it after next season.
And you talk about having Caleb come into a situation where
Danny Dimes.
He's playing behind somebody, and Dable can mold some, and Dable can extend his career, his longevity as a head coach there.
I'm gonna tell you right now, he ain't playing behind Danny Jones. He gonna start day one. Danny Jones gonna be the backup, $40 million backup for 1 year, and then they're gonna get rid of him.
That's a possibility too.
They only on the hook for one more season.
You still got Atlanta, and you still have Denver and the Raiders to some extent. I don't think it gets past the Raiders, anybody else trying to trade up to one. But Atlanta still, and here's the thing, Atlanta has enough draft capital that them getting a quarterback like Caleb, and even if they give up a player, whoever that player might be, they're still pretty good. They're not going to lose on trade.
I saw a trade proposal that said they give us their one Bijan. I say done. Let's go. Do it. I personally think we just don't have a strong enough back.
Really?
We don't have a dynamic back.
We don't have an Aaron Jones. We don't have an Isaiah Pacheco. We don't have. I just don't think we do. Maybe Roshan to be.
We don't have an Adam Jones. I give you that.
We don't have a dynamic back, but I think we've got solid backs. But to your point, there's a lot of free agent running backs. I'm not even worried about drafting a running back. I don't think there's a running back in the draft that is significant enough to be a number one to come in and change things around. I don't see that guy. But there are a whole bunch of guys free agent, like DeAndre Swift is available in free agency.
We got to go get him. In my opinion.
I have a problem with it. I mean, Pollard's a free
Philly
agent.
did not use that dude good. Pollard can go to hell.
I'm just saying, Pollard doesn't have to be the guy, but Pollard with what's Khalil's last name?
Herbert.
Khalil and Herbert. Like Pollard is better when he has a guy that can do the inside stuff. Yeah. But then he becomes more dynamic. Antonio Gibson's available. And we have a dynamic guy that doesn't have to be the lead guy. He just needs to have some dynamism to his ability out there on the field. You got Antonio Gibson. That dude's like a 4-4 dude. Washington didn't use him that well. Like he would always do well, then like they would just go away from him. Like why? He's my fantasy guy. So I'm like, what are you doing? He gets you points running and catching the ball. Why aren't you using him more? You got Gibson. You got DeAndre Swift. Dude, DeAndre Swift was averaging like at one point he was throughout most of the league.
He was my fantasy guy.
Yeah, he was leading the league. He was leading the league in yards per carry. It's just down the stretch. Down the stretch, it didn't use him as much, but it's like DeAndre Swift, and then having Khalil helps DeAndre so he doesn't get beat up as much. You got Antonio Gibson. There's a few other guys you got Saquon. I mean, there are players out there. And here's the thing with that extra 82 million or the extra 30 million, they put us up to 80+ million dollars now. You can get one of these running backs if you're not coming off but like maybe 14 million. I can live with that.
And that's only Saquon if you do that, in my opinion. You ain't got to pay the other ones.
And Jacobs. Saquon and Jacobs.
Oh, yeah, Brandon Jacobs, yeah.
Right. But Eckler's a free agent?
I said Brandon Jacobs. Yeah. Josh Jacobs.
Eckler's a free agent, although he's a little long in the tooth. I'm just saying there's a lot of running backs out there that are available that you can spend some money on to get more dynamic in the backfield. I agree. So I mean, Gabe Davis is out there as far as a wide receiver goes. That could be your third wide receiver. You get a That's not bad. Yeah, you get a Dunze and then you get Gabe Davis and you got DJ. You figure out who's in the slot. You take your turns or whatever. Still got Tyler. You still got good speed. You got solid players you can depend on. Or you trade that 9th pick down and get yourself maybe a better center if you keep Justin. You get that center from Oregon. And then in the 3rd round, you pick up Xavier Legette from South Carolina. It gets ridiculous, man, the more you think about it. Just the options and opportunities that these guys have. But anyway.
Speaking of which, the Combine started up this week. Who are the Bears looking at, you think? What position groups are the most important for the Bears to look at this weekend?
Wide receiver, because whether it's Caleb or Justin, you need another wide receiver or wide receivers, to be quite honest with you. So I think they're looking at a boundary wide receiver, somebody that can either play the X position more so, but definitely a boundary receiver. And I think they want a more reliable slot guy, someone they can count on to get those tough yards in the middle. A guy like Malachi Corley, I might be saying his last name right, but he's out of Western Kentucky and very tough nose. Kind of reminds me of the wide receiver that came out of LSU the same time Odell did.
Oh, Jarvis Landry,
yes. Yeah, Malachi Corley's got like a Jarvis Landry type to me. Really good after the catch, can run just about any route, physical, good speed, but he's a yak. He's a yak. His nickname is the Yak King. So someone like him that you could probably get in the 3rd round. He's going to be there because the receivers are going to fall back because all the quarterbacks are being taken. The other position of need is definitely, I believe, edge rusher. You need to find someone opposite Montez Sweat. There's some really good edge rushers. There's some really good 4-3 defensive end type kind of edge rushers are available. So you got Laiatu Latu from UCLA, Braylon Trice over at Washington. I'm not saying them in any order. I'm just mentioning them. Chop Robinson out of Penn State. You got Jared Verse, out of Florida State. Dallas Turner to me, I think he could do it, although I see him more in the 3-4 type kind of scheme, but he's still physical enough that he can do it. And then there's some other guys down the line. There's a cat out of Utah who's pretty decent. Last name is Ellis. But that's a little bit, if you're not able to get some of the top-notch ones. So I think that's a position that the Bears definitely want to. And they want someone that can hold up at the point of attack. They don't necessarily have to be, 4 or 5 around the corner type kind of guy, but someone that can apply pressure, kind of like Alex Brown in a lot of ways, can give you those sacks, but really, they're strong against the run. They're heady players, and they're good against screen passes and that kind of stuff. The other position that they're going to be looking at in the draft will probably be center. They haven't drafted a good center in quite some time, and there are at least there's at least three solid centers. You got the kid from Oregon, and Jackson Powers Johnson. You got the kid from Georgia we've talked about Cedric Van Pran, and then you got Zach Frazier out of West Virginia, and there are a few other decent centers as well, but those three stick out. And again, centers, Jackson will probably go first round, but other guys will probably be there third round, fourth round. So that's what I'm saying. When the Bears have an opportunity to trade back, you can accumulate enough picks, between, picks 36 and 100 that you can find yourself a situation to get these players that can really help out, flesh out the rest of your team. And free safety, we let Eddie go. So free safety or the safety position, because sometimes in this system that the Eberflus runs, the safety position can be a little interchangeable at times. So you want a guy, Cameron Kitchens out of Miami. Is a bit more explosive. I like my centers to be over 6 feet. He's like 5'11", but I'm not the coach. But Cameron is a playmaker.
You mean safeties?
Safeties, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I don't want a 5'11" center.
Most
Just my
definitely not.
preference.
Yeah, definitely not a 5'11" center in basketball or football. So Cameron Kitchens, I like Tyler Nubin a lot. I'm a big fan of him. I think he fits Chicago's dynamic perfectly. I think he fits, someone who wouldn't have a problem playing in this type of elements. He's got some family football in his history, so that DNA is there. Leader, all those things that safety position usually requires in terms of being a heady player, being physical. He's about 6'2". He has playmaker. He's averaged about 3 interceptions the last 3 years. Just a solid player. And then a guy like Kalen Bullock falls back from USC. He's 6'3". Again, he's a little sinewy to some degree, but 6'3". He's got that length, not too dissimilar than Kyle Hamilton that you saw do things for the Ravens this past year, where he could change the game a lot of times just from the safety position. And we know how much the secondary is important in a lot of ways in terms of, forcing those turnovers or capitalizing off turnovers and changing the field and flipping the field. We saw that even happen this year late in the season for the Bears. So even safety like Cole Bishop out of Utah will probably be there like in the 5th round. So I think those are positions that when you go to the combine, they're looking to see where these guys slot themselves. A lot of these guys going to the combine, they're going to be drafted. It's just a matter of, differentiating between this guy and that guy, and seeing who has a bit more of an idea of what's required of them when they get a chance to interview and talk to them, and see who can fit in with the quote unquote culture or the locker room or just with the dynamic that the Bears are trying to create, whether it's offensively or defensively.
Free agent wise, of those positions, what do you think we would try to go after in free agency then, which is before the draft?
Right. Well, here's the other thing. And I think this position, the center position, whether they keep Justin or even if they decide to go Caleb, I think center, that's really pivotal. That's been a huge problem, with the exchanges. I mean, think about how many times Justin's playing fucking catcher back there, just, or shortstop. Hell, he can't even play catcher. He's playing shortstop. He's catching ground balls, dirt diggers, all that stuff. So I think center. And here's the thing. Shane Waldron is new offensive coordinator. So a lot of times, more times than not, you do not want a rookie quarterback. If the Bears go Caleb, you don't want a rookie quarterback and a rookie center. You'd like to have someone who has the experience at center. Evan Brown, I believe his last name, is a center that's free agent for Seattle. He's played in that system the last couple of years. So he's going to know that. And that's someone that can help not just Justin, but help the guys on the offensive line become more quickly acclimated to what's required in this system, which can help offense overall. Even if it's not Caleb, if the Bears retain Justin, same thing. Bring in Evan. He helps Justin become that much more better at, seeing where, the mic is and understanding pass alignments in terms of pass protection alignments that the offensive line need to do. It can be done more quickly. It can help facilitate the learning for again, not just Justin, but for the entire offense. So I think someone like a center like him is tantamount. Now, whether it's him, there's some other centers that are out there as well. Connor Williams is coming off of an ACL, be a second ACL, but when healthy, is one of the better players, interior offensive lineman out there. Tyler Bidas for Cowboys. I don't know if they're resigning him. They might want to because he's a really good center, and they're losing their left tackle probably to free agency, but they've got their own cap issue, so he may be a cap casualty. And then Matt Hennessy out of Atlanta, again, coming off of an injury, but he may be available as well. So there's some decent centers out there in this free agent pool for the Bears. And I think the Bears should and will probably take advantage of that and still draft a center too. Other free agent pickups, again, we talked about Gabe Davis, 24 years old, man. I didn't realize he was that young. Now,
he's 24?
He's just 24. Now, he'll be
Wow.
25 before the season's over with, but he's just 24, man, and he's a free agent. And I don't know if they're going to be able to keep him. So T. Higgins has already been tagged, so that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing with Gabe. Gabe's not going to cost that much, not compared to T. You know, T's going to be up 20+ million. Mike Evans is going to be 28-something million or whatever.
I'm good on Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'm good too. So with Gabe Davis, 24, and that's right in that wheelhouse that we've seen Poles do when he gets some of these, when he targets some of these free agents. And Gabe is used to being a number 2, so you're not having someone coming in with a ego, attitude, whatever. And he's been a solid player. He's used to playing the boundary. Yeah, I can see him playing complimentary football very easily. And he's probably going to cost you somewhere between 12 to 14 million. Maybe 15 million if you really, overpay him a little bit. And that's still not bad at all, especially with that bump, that extra 30 million that just came the Bears' way. Yeah, so free edge wise, I think the Bears are better off drafting an edge rusher than paying for another one. You don't want to tie up too much of your money in one position either. So I think and center's not going to cost you that much. The wide receiver probably costs a little bit more. And there's some free agent safeties that are out there too, but I think those guys might start to get tagged before that period is passed, before free agency really launches itself.
Glynn, you are the best at this, man.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Just
to
talk
understand that. Just saying. Hey, while we were gone, All-Star Weekend took place. And I gotta say, I watched All-Star Saturday night.
You're talking about hockey, right? Oh yeah, man. The NHL was awesome. Those skill positions, Connor McDavid. Whew,
All-Star Saturday night sucked. If it wasn't for Steph and Sabrina. And that's cool. Who, by the way, I didn't realize she's married to Ronas Grasu.
Oh, really?
Former Bears center.
Former Bear. Yeah, out of Hawaii, I think, right?
Yeah. No. Was he in Hawaii?
No.
Or was he? No, he was Washington.
When was
Oregon.
he the Bears center?
Washington.
He was at Oregon with her. That's where they met at Oregon.
Oregon. Right, Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was recent. He was the Bears center.
Yeah. Pace. One of those Pace draft picks.
That's what I'm saying, because she ain't been in WNBA that long.
Right. But they stay for 4 years. They don't leave early.
That's true.
College game, they let them go. They know we need you too much to stay in college.
Well, they can now make more in college than they do in the WNBA.
Yeah, another reason to stay in college.
That's real talk. You catch a lot of been seeing a lot of Caitlin Clark State Farm commercials out there. I'm sure she's getting some nice NIL money for that.
I mean, Juju's gonna start making that money real soon too.
Yeah,
yeah. Especially out in Cali.
Whew. Absolutely. But yeah, if it wasn't for those two, All-Star Saturday would have been a complete disaster. And then the All-Star game
was a complete disaster.
A complete disaster. Yeah. Yeah. That it was so bad. My man Adam Silver, when he went to give out the All-Star trophy and then the MVP trophy, he was just so disgusted. He was like, just here. Just take it. You guys scored more points than the other team. Here's your trophy. And then he gave Damian Lillard the MVP trophy. Yeah, you're the MVP. Here you go. Smile for the camera. Let's get off the air. It was bad, man.
It's been bad for a while.
But this one took the cake. 168 threes attempted by both teams. 3 fouls in the entire game. I it was just terrible basketball, man. No one cared. So I'm at a point now. I'm like, yo, you know what? Do away with if no one cares, if no one really wants to be there, just do away with All-Star Weekend.
That's too much
And
money
maybe
for them because of the weekend, not because of the game, but because of the other stuff. That other stuff is the only thing that's making it viable. And dude, this All-Star game has been bad for like the last 50. Like
I'll
Kobe
tell you
might have been
this.
the last person that cared about playing an All-Star game.
It's been very bad since Adam Silver took over.
Am I blaming it on him?
Now, I blame a lot of stuff in the NBA on him. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I thought he was the good players commissioner.
That's the problem. And I get it. A lot of people don't want that stern hand, what you call it, hammer down
I
type
think
Iron
but
Fist.
iron fist.
this is
But
Coach Williams talking. This ain't smoke. This is Coach Williams talking.
well, he to
Get
me
off my
he's
lawn, kids.
no, it's not even that, man. He's too lenient.
Get
He's
off my
too
lawn.
lenient. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying the league is very. I mean, I don't even watch the NBA no more.
Well, let me ask you this: how has his leniency had anything to do with the All-Star game? Because it's been trending like this even when Stern was there. That the look, it stopped being competitive really right
But
when the whole Michael and his group, those guys started getting up there longer in the tooth. Like when Magic
I
Johnson came back and they let him start shooting shots. To me, that's when to me the All-Star game noticeably took a different tonality, because now it's like, hey, just kind of come and have fun and don't take it too seriously, kind of thing. The competitive part of it went out the door. And I understand, I'm not knocking Magic, and I understood why they did what they did. It's a whole A situation and all that stuff, and I get it. And it was out of respect to Magic and what he'd done for the league. But it seemed like from that point on, any kind of competitiveness in the All-Star game just started waning more and more. And we get to the 2000s, those guys are doing and one type stuff, man. It
It's
bounces stuff.
interesting. It's interesting you say that because everyone talking about this talks about uh, the MJ era, that how seriously MJ took it, and that was only 92. So you're saying a good 8 All-Star games were trash
Not trash. I said it started to
to
you started to
trend
see
that
it.
way.
You started to trend down a little bit. Yeah. It went from the East is gonna beat the West. Guys started becoming more and more the AAU circuit. You started getting the guys, the LeBrons and the D Wades coming in, these guys who grew up playing together. And then not only that, but Team USA. So a lot of these guys now are playing with each other on Team USA. And it's just that amalgamation. You didn't have the separation like you used to.
Mhm.
You used to have East and West. And yeah, some players will move back here and there, but now guys are starting to play together more often. The US team, the US Olympic team. And then it's not just you get together for the Olympics. Now you get together to play the world team. So now it's a different group of guys playing for the world games. Maybe some of those guys come over to the US national team for the Olympics. And it's just a different vibe, because at some point these guys are like, is it worth me playing? And then on that, but the money changed things too. Is it worth me playing? Because if I get hurt, I can't do this. I play for Team USA, and you want to play the All-Star game. I mean, pick, guys that pick your lane. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I'm not saying it's any one thing, but you start looking at these things that change, and they started changing in the 90s, because we didn't have the Olympics. The pros won't play before 92.
Right.
You didn't have that, you know.
And I didn't think way back then. I felt a lot of I. It definitely started going downhill, but the drastic change to me came when Paul George got hurt in that exhibition game with Team USA. That's when the All-Star game just became
I don't want to get hurt.
unbearable.
Right. Guys
That
are like,
was
I don't want
that
to
was
get
a
hurt.
freak. That was a freak thing though.
But these
Everybody
people
saw it.
take everything literally.
Okay, so then let me ask you this then. And this was a point brought up by Stephen A. Smith. Why do they take the summer league stuff more seriously? At least they do compete, whether it's the
Well,
Drew League or whether it's, I remember going to pro-ams, in the
well,
last
well,
20
but
years. I would go to pro-ams and it would be some real basketball being
yeah,
played out there.
but it ain't 10 NBA guys on the court
Uh
at one
but
time.
they're got well, no, it was never.
Exactly,
I never saw a pro-am where there was all NBA guys,
exactly.
but there was a good number of guys out there.
I mean, it might be a good number, but I
It
might
was a
be
good
that one.
five out there.
But they
And
ain't all on
I
one
say
team
that's
either.
even worse because you got guys that don't really know what they're doing. They could hurt you, you
Hey,
know.
I'm just saying, if you gonna get out there with guys that
And
ain't,
some of the guys they could play at an NBA level. They just haven't got the opportunity.
but that's the thing. So if I'm playing, so you all are NBA guys, you two are NBA guys. I got NBA talent. I didn't make it to the league though. I'm coming out there to bust y'all ass.
Right.
Take it light if you want to. And you're gonna be on YouTube, you're gonna be on the social media
Keep going.
of smoke kicking your ass.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they take it a little more serious because your rep is on the
But if
line.
it's 10 NBA guys,
And then to prove.
ain't nothing to prove. Cause they
Yep.
gonna take it just as lightly as you are.
Exactly.
Not even
Just like I stopped.
there's no league pride in that.
It's none. Just like I used to rock with Devin Booker. But when that clip came out when he was mad that Joe Kim knowing them doubled him in the open gym, I say this dude is soft. I will never rock with dude. Like that's soft as hell. And I became even more of a fan of Joe Kim. Like, dude, we hooping. Like, this ain't about you get work on your own. Go in the gym by yourself and work on your shot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like how are you working on your shot if you can't take a double team to try to get your shot? Like,
Right.
like that's the thing. Like, and truly to me, that moment spoke to me of how the NBA operates. These dudes are soft, man. They're soft.
So
But they're prideful too. So in those open gyms and Drew League, they're not going to allow themselves to get done up by somebody that's not in the league. That's why Devin Booker was so mad because Joakim Noah was a former NBA player.
right.
So he was expecting, like, dude, you ain't watched Joakim Noah?
I was gonna say he must not know who
The
Joe is.
overachiever.
That ain't happening.
That's like asking Jimmy Butler to take it easy, right?
So that's my thing when it comes to that.
Something has to be done about that, man. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm not watching next year.
Dude, I haven't watched for the last. They kept trying all the other goofy stuff. When they started saying, "Hey, you can pick your own team,"
The
I'm
draft,
like, I'm out. I'm out.
All this stuff.
You can pick your own team, really? Okay.
The draft was cool the first year, and then I think after that it just lost its novelty. But
dude, that was a recipe for disaster because now somebody's gonna take it personal. I'm gonna pick my boy. It's like, come on, man. It's like nobody wants to be the last guy picked either.
Last hope for them to do. It's enough foreigners. It's enough guys that's not from America.
World against America.
But Joker and Luca ain't gonna take the shit serious. So
Joker might.
Joker, hey, of all the guys out there, Luca may not. Luca, I don't think. Yeah, you're right. Joker was getting guys full court in the All-Star. He was the only one.
Yeah, but he's the worst defender in the league.
True.
So that was a joke in itself.
At least he gave effort, at that part of the game.
I can get past Joker on the court. Nah, I can't stand in front of him, probably. But
I don't know. That slow motion moves, the slow motion.
That's what I said. I probably can't stand in front of him on defense, but I'm sure I can get past him on offense. Is what I'm saying.
It has to be something to it.
But you still got the problem of incentivizing them. I mean, you can't keep giving them money.
I can't. Yeah,
that's not
I mean,
enough.
at this point, I mean, what more do you want?
Get rid of it. Or make that get 10 All-Stars. All-Stars versus the world. And you got Americans that ain't in the NBA. They're
Huh.
show us your work. Show us that you belong in the league. You goddamn lose to JoJo from the street,
I
from the
was gonna say
block.
All Stars versus Joes. But you know
Get lethal shootout.
what was really bad was that I actually watched the celebrity game.
That was more
The
entertaining.
celebrity game was more entertaining than the actual All Star game.
Oh, I said dunk contest should be a halftime of the celebrity game.
I think the celebrity game should be on All Star Saturday.
Oh, it's on Friday.
It's on Friday night. Yeah, do that before the 3-point contest. Keep the 3-point contest. Get rid of the dunk contest. Dunk contest. That's over. At least for a couple years.
It's time to retire the
just
dunk
take a couple years off.
Unless you're gonna bring in more.
Unless
you're gonna bring in more people that don't play in the league.
Right. I think they should
and showcase it that way.
That's a good idea. I think Stephen A. Smith said that. He said they should go out and do a contest and find the best street dunkers out there, and then bring them to the contest and do like $1 million prize. Yeah. Winner gets $1 million, which I think that would be cool. And let the NBA guys actually sponsor
a guy.
Yeah. I think that would be cool. That would work. But as of now, yeah, All-Star Weekend has lost its luster. It used to be a time when it was a huge deal, and now, yeah.
It's the problem with these games that you don't have to take serious to achieve greatness in your game. See, that's why I love baseball. You can't cheat it.
Well, they came real close. They were having the issues too.
Well, they had the issue of the tie game. That was it.
Yeah, it wasn't that they
never
weren't giving
about
effort.
the style of play.
Yeah.
Stop, dude. Stop.
It wasn't. It was about the fact that the game was tied, and they ran out of. They didn't know how to. They didn't know how to manage.
They didn't want to extend pitches to affect teams.
It wasn't effort. It wasn't effort.
So when Barry Bonds picked up somebody on his shoulder to carry him around, that was all part of it.
He did that because the guy robbed him of a home run.
But that was fun and game.
Yeah.
Barry
hit a bomb.
No. Wait a minute.
It was Torrey Hunter, right?
Talking.
Yeah,
if it was lack of effort, Torrey Hunter would have let that home run go. Right. If it was lack of effort.
Exactly. I was going to say that was Torrey Hunter.
If it was lack of effort,
yeah,
Torrey Hunter would have let that home run go.
That's what that was about. The John Kruk thing was hilarious.
Them guys are up there. Them guys ain't up there throwing. Cause I could throw 100 miles an hour and I'm giving you a 80-mile-an-hour fastball. Hell no. They trying to throw 100 miles an hour.
Randy Johnson wasn't grooving the pitch to him. And then he threw one inside and Kruk said, fuck it, I don't want nothing to do with this right now. And he let it go. It was hilarious. Randy Johnson was throwing heat.
They probably throwing more fastballs than they typically throw.
Yeah.
As a pitcher. But at the end of the day, it's not changing the game. You want to see a guy throwing 100 miles an hour and a guy try to hit it out the park. You want to see that. That's why the home run derby is something that will never go away.
I mean, that being said,
dig the long ball.
Out of all the All-Star games, the baseball is the only watchable one to me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would agree with that.
Hockey sucks.
Yeah.
Their All-Star game sucks.
Almost the same
The
thing.
NBA. The Pro Bowl is what it is now.
Well, at least they realize that these guys ain't playing no more. At least they realize this is some bullshit. We need to go ahead and stop this.
Oh man. Look, they put a stop to it quick. Well, not quick enough, but
yeah, it took a while. It got to the point where it was just they were in full pads playing two-hand touch.
Right.
That was bad. So they got it. They got it right now. If the kids want to watch whatever it is they're doing, these skills competitions and the flag situation, go right ahead. I'm going to tune out. I got better things to do with my Sunday. Now this brings us to another point here. All right, we're talking about lack of interest in in
Is this
sporting
my time to
events.
get off?
Chicago
Oh,
sports
man.
right now. All right.
Oh,
Now
man.
we spent almost an hour talking about the Bears, and the Bears are the Bears. NFL is king. What can you say? All right. Is there a lack of interest in the other professional sports teams in town right now because they're not doing anything? The Bulls are
Bullshit.
fine with being the ninth best team in the East, it seems.
Right.
White Sox, we
White
got
Sox
like
are, oh my
two
God.
players you might even know on their roster.
The organization basically does not care what the fans think at this point.
At least they're
Well,
trying to get a new
well, it
stadium.
does sound like ownership cares too much about what the fans.
That's what, man, they
Right.
don't care.
He said it's the fans' fault.
Right.
Ha!
They don't even like they like their fans anymore.
While going to
You
Springfield to
wait,
get taxpayers' dollars to build a new
wait,
stadium.
Right.
you get rid of the fan favorite announcer. You
Oh my
let him
God. Totally
walk.
forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
You let him walk.
Your
Your team
statistician.
your team is garbage and you did nothing to make it better this offseason. I'm not gonna. Don't bring up the statistician. Don't do that. Don't
Oh, he's
bring up the
going too.
cruncher.
He's going too.
That didn't have nothing to do with it.
It's just pile it
Though
on.
Yeah,
though on White
they
Sox it
want
was
him to stay.
man.
They'd have paid him.
Chris Camp my guy bad, and on White Sox Twitter bad.
Hey
White
man,
Sox Twitter blame Chris Camp
and
going
this is
leaving for Marquee. They blamed it on the White Sox management.
hey man, best thing going for the White Sox. Best thing
What's
going
that?
for the White Sox is the Chicago White Sox Ace program. And
Hey, that's right.
I'm not even being biased because
That's
I'm a
right.
part of it.
That's
That's the
right.
best thing going for the White Sox. The White Sox do an amazing job for these kids.
Doing
They
big things,
do.
getting these kids to college.
They do. That is the one thing they're winning in across the MLB. Everyone wants to model what the Chicago White Sox doing with the Ace program. Sucks that nobody wants to model what they're doing with their big league team. That's crazy.
Let's see. The Blackhawks do have the best prospect
Young, exciting
in the
talent.
game. That dude is sick, man.
He's good.
Connor Bedard is nice, but I mean,
One
he
man.
can only do
He's
so
an
much.
Alexander Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby type guy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
More Crosby. I say definitely more Sidney
Yeah.
Crosby. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean
He-
That's
the
even better.
Blackhawks are
Crosby was better than Ovechkin to me. I like winners.
better all around, but he also had better players around him too.
That's true.
But that being said, the Blackhawks are so bad that they may have a chance to get a really high another draft pick again. So maybe they might have a glimmer of looking good by 2027.
Well, that's what they did with the last dynasty started this way.
Fine, man.
They were able to get 4 straight top-notch draft picks in Seabrook Keith, Kane and Taves.
There you go.
And they went out and got the free agent they needed to get in Hosa, and the rest was history. So maybe they're trending in the right direction, but right now,
Nothing.
It's
like,
Cubs
especially
signed Bellinger.
They did re-sign Bellinger, but Bellinger was already there, so your team didn't really get better.
No, they didn't. But they were competitive last
Who are
year.
their pitchers? Who are their pitchers? I don't know who
They
these
lost
guys
Stroman
are.
to
They lost Stroman to the Yanks.
I don't even know who these guys are anymore, man.
If,
That's the other thing too.
If I don't mean to change the subject, but if Rodon's ass can pitch for us this year, we might be all right.
Is his contract up?
Who, Rodon?
Yeah. Does he?
Hell no, it's only
is he
year
looking?
2.
That's what I'm saying. So don't expect much.
Don't expect too much.
That's why
I know that.
Stroman
I know
was
that
big
from
for us,
experience. Yes.
That's why getting Stroman was big.
The bigger problem with the question that you just asked, outside of the Blackhawks, because there is a budding superstar there, is that there isn't a player that makes you want to watch these guys. There's no superstar. Like back in the day when the Bears, Bulls, White Sox, Cubs, and everybody sucked, you had Walter Payton. You had a
Right.
marquee player. You had Andre Dawson. You had Sammy Sosa. You had Ryan Sandberg to some degree. You had on the White Sox, you had Frank Thomas. You had Chet Lemon. I mean, you had somebody that Ron Kittle. You had somebody that brought you to the game to watch it, and you had even the Bulls. You had, Orlando Woodridge for a little bit. Q when he was, when his nose wasn't, where it didn't need to be, or Artis Gilmore. I mean, you had a star of sorts that brought you. Even with Derrick Rose, there's some talent played, but Derrick was that superstar. You had someone that drew you to the team.
You had Reggie Theus.
You had Reggie Theus.
Yeah.
Now I might who? Bellinger, okay.
Man.
So White Sox, I can't.
When it comes to the Sox, it's shocking to me how. Okay, Tim had 2 years? 2 years. But they sold, and I'm not a Sox fan, but I feel like they even sold me. They sold us on Luis Roberts and Eloy Jimenez.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell are they?
Well, Robert is an all-star.
But he's not a superstar. He's not a Acuna. He can
become that.
But he's not.
No, because Acuna doing this at a young age.
Roberts has done it.
It has done it.
Several years.
Roberts is only getting older.
He finally had a good season.
He can still do it. We need to see that. Like that's what they sold. That's what they sold us.
He hit 38 homers last year,
and it went very quietly.
I was going to say
because they were a bad team.
Just saying,
with no pitching. I mean, they still have no pitching. That's what I'm saying. They're about the White Sox.
Best thing happened to the White Sox.
Go ahead.
Best thing happened to the White Sox in recent years. Now that you say that, was the COVID season.
Yeah,
that's real. What made them respectable because it was a jammed up season.
That's real,
and so they was competitive.
And they went into 2021 as a World Series favorite. I think they were a top 5.
Didn't make the playoffs.
And did not. No. They did
make
the
playoffs.
They made the playoffs. Yeah.
They lost
and then 20 and then 22 happened.
Yeah, they lost the Oakland.
And then yeah. So, but Robert can still get there. Eloy can still get there, but I mean their history with especially with Eloy and with Makata, their history says that they're not going to be able to play enough games to reach their potential because they're always hurt.
And then listen to that. Where's the American talent?
Yeah.
At least I get a Cubs that credit.
Atlanta and LA. In New York.
I get the Cubs that credit that they got American talent now. They ain't brothers, but it's American talent.
From what I understand, that was part of the issue with the White Sox was that they couldn't build a cohesive unit. They were never together. You had your Latino players here, and you had your American-born players over here, your white guys.
Sounds like a coaching thing.
And then you had poor Tim Anderson.
Jackie
Robinson, the only brother that was by himself,
But then you build this roster of all these Latinos, Hispanics, and then you hire Tommy La Russa.
Well, he can speak the language.
He spoke the language?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can. He does speak Spanish. But I don't think it mattered.
When he talked, when he wasn't asleep.
Because he was falling asleep. Yeah.
Man.
But he's back now. He's still part of the organization.
Hey, I don't know what to do with them.
So yeah. So I'm out on the White Sox, by the way. I know I have a White Sox hat on right now, but
even my Liberty. This season. They broke up the Liberty. They won a championship, but they broke them up.
Oh, you mean the Sky?
The Sky, I'm sorry, Liberty. Wow.
Well, the Sky. Wait, we can talk about the Sky. The Sky can't keep a superstar. Every time they get a superstar, they're
Yeah.
gone in 2 years. Why is that?
I don't know. Della Don, big fan. And then you finally
Sylvia
bring my girl
Fowles.
back home.
Sylvia Fowles.
Sylvia Fowles.
Like we've had some
You bring
people here.
home Candace
Candace.
Parker.
She was now.
Gone.
Winning championship. Gone.
I
The
ain't
guard.
gonna,
The guard was good. Van
but
Sloof.
what's in that? No, to me, Kalia Cooper.
Vandersloot.
Vandersloot.
Yeah.
Kalia Cooper.
Kalia Cooper, yeah. You
She's
let
gone
her
too?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You know that?
They let her go to Connecticut.
Oh my God, dude. What
Well,
are
or
they
was no
doing?
Phoenix. She's in Phoenix.
Yeah.
What
Going
are
to
they
Phoenix,
doing?
yeah.
That was the finals MVP.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's a citywide problem here, and it needs to be fixed. And I don't know what to do about it. And I think that there's a lot of fan apathy there.
Well, they're about to trade away Justin. Jericho said doing it again. Even the Bears.
Well, the Bears are the Bears, though. The Bears
I
are
know,
going to be
it's football,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
The Bears are going to be fine. It's a Bear town, and it's the NFL.
These other sports need to watch out, figure it out.
And so what you're telling me, what we're telling our fans is that don't even bother watching the White Sox or the Cubs. Our excitement is
watch
going
some
to come
baseball. Come watch Simeon baseball.
The schedule is out. By the way, I saw you guys play Carmel Mundaline.
That's who we open with. Yeah.
That's who. Okay, all right.
Yep.
That should be exciting. And you got 2 games against my Kenwood Broncos, which I'm looking forward to. So so yeah, we're definitely gonna be checking out the Simeon Wolverines this year.
And
No doubt
I
about
guess
it.
I can announce this on here.
Yeah.
The home game versus Kenwood, which is 4-8. Since currently my best friend / brother David Reed is acting head coach at Kenwood. We won the city championship together 2004, 20 years ago. So we will be honoring our 2004 city championship team that day.
There you go.
At Simeon versus Kenwood. So
I don't even want to talk about what I was doing in 2004. Your ass was in high school. I don't even.
Wait, I think, hey, Glenn, we were in the same place actually in 2004. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was getting married and working on my 3rd kid.
Oh, I wasn't there. Definitely wasn't there. So April 8th, 20th anniversary of the Simeon City Championship team. That's awesome, man. That's good stuff. Before we end it, man, let's finalize the pick segment for the year. So, Glenn, we already know you are the champion. So, congratulations on wearing the crown. So it became a battle for second place. I was 1 game in back of Smoke going into the Super Bowl. So we had 1, 2, 3. We did 4 different bets to figure out who the champion was. We both took the Chiefs +2, so we both won that one. Right. We both had the over at 47.5, which, by the way, damn it, why didn't they kick the damn extra point in the overtime? I'm protesting that because had they kicked the extra point, I would have got the over.
They never do.
I would have made some nice change on Super Bowl Sunday if it weren't for that. But I digress. I'm sorry. So we both lost that. And then I said that Mahomes would go for under 262.5. I lost that. You said that Smoke. You said Purdy would go under 246.5. You lost that.
Damn.
So y'all still even at this point.
But
so
I won
no. He's still up 1.
I'm still up 1
because we lost all those. And then the final question, which I could have tied at this point, was how many times Taylor Swift would be shown in the Super Bowl. I didn't think it would get to this, and I said 5. Smoke, you
9.
hit it right on the head.
9, right?
I thought I thought it was 8 or 9.
I had 8.
You had 8.
Okay.
I thought I hit 8.
But definitely, if he hit 9, it hit 8.
Yeah. So with that, Smoke, you are in second place. I am finishing last this year. So yeah, good year. But that was fun though. That was fun. Can't
was
wait.
hilarious. I had my wife counting how many times Taylor showed up on the screen. Oh, there she go again.
Wait, I knew once it became a game, and then Kelsey started catching passes, and every time Kelsey,
the first half it was like only one.
Right. I was looking good. Yeah,
only one time.
And then every time Kelsey caught a pass, they went to Taylor Swift in the booth with her and Blake Lively and Ice Spice, and I was like, damn.
Because matter of fact, when they showed her in the first half, Pacheco fumbled after that. No, he fumbled. Then they showed her.
Right.
And my wife like, oh, something bad happened. They not gonna show her no more. You're not gonna win this.
Oh man. So by the way, Glynn, you did put in two picks that it didn't matter, and you won both your picks. You took the Chiefs. You took the Chiefs plus the 2, and you took the under 47.5. So
winning the more winning, baby.
So congratulations to you. I know that's some bullshit, but that's okay. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can catch our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Wait, no, Stitcher's gone.
Stitcher's gone.
I keep saying that. Damn it.
Yeah, you said
Apple.
You used to it.
Apple, I don't know, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you find your favorite podcast. I don't know. You can also catch us at hp53productions.com. There you'll find a link to the Super Duper podcast hosted by Rob Griggs and yours truly, Yo Glynn.
Yep.
Please take us out.
Hey, it's like we always say, we ain't saying we're right. We just don't think we're wrong, especially when it comes to them picks, dog. Right with your boy.
We'll catch you next week.